Alright, hello, we are back and getting into map number 1 in the semifinals. Now this is the monthly finals for the Olimoleague, so it's a little bit different than your casual semifinal best of 3. These are actually going to be best of 5s. So we have 2 best of 5s and a best of 7 left in the cast today. And of course that reminder that this is our last cast before we leave for DreamHack Austin.
Woo! I'm a little nervous about taking the standby. I have to get to the airport so early for their first fight of the day. I hope I get it.
So yeah, how does that work? Do you just sit there in the airport all day until something comes up?
Kind of. So the way that it's supposed to happen, unless you get unlucky, I guess, and this is what my brother did, it went swimmingly for him, is that you get there like you had booked the ticket, so you get there like an hour and a half early, and you do the whole, like, hey, I have a guest pass, I'm on standby, and they just say, okay, I'm gonna tag your luggage, and I hope you get a seat, and then you just wait at the the door, right? Whatever it's called, the terminal, for it. And if you get called up, then you get the seat, and if you don't, you gotta wait and wait until you get a seat. So it's mostly like a normal experience in the airport, but you might have to like change gates if you don't get the flight that you wanted.
Interesting. All right, well, folks, we're hopping into game number 1 in the semifinals for the Olimoleague. Spawning here in the top left in this PvP, we've got the red Protoss Patience.
In the bottom right is the blue Protoss. It is Hurricane.
All right, so Patience beating Hero, I think, is a pretty good indication that his PvP is where it needs to be. That being said, I gotta bring it back to Hurricane being in multiple finals in the last 2 weeks alone, winning even in some. I think it was the Olimoleague, not the BTSLE one. So Hurricane has just been looking absolutely fantastic, much better than the kind of just random Protoss that he was before.
Yep.
Winning
the Olimoleague last week.
I believe he's living in the Li Fang house right now, the Li Fang house in Korea, with Seed and several of the Chinese players. And what I'm really curious about is whether that environment is what's helped him kind of get this upswing lately, or if this is just his time to shine with whatever balance and something clicked, right?
Yeah, I guess it's hard to say. You'd probably have to ask him personally. You know,
I mean, who's the pros? You got Jim, Rush Crazy, Seed, and Hurricane. Like, that's a lot of good Protoss to bounce each other's ideas off of.
Yeah, that environment might have benefited him greatly. I would say, though, that Hurricane, especially at this point in time, is the best out of them. So if anyone's giving advice, I would say it was Hurricane. But it's always nice to be in an environment that is like that.
Well, I think the other thing, too, is like you got somebody like Seed who, okay, maybe mechanically isn't the best player right now, but he's always been very smart at the game and very good at Protoss. So I don't know. It's a very interesting... There's no way to answer this question, but it's an interesting one to think about for sure. Anyways, Patience has been living in the quote-unquote Dead Pixels house with Impact for a bit. I think there's another player there, but I don't know who it is off the top of my head. But not the same environment.
Well, we have a Stargate coming out for Hurricane, and the Adepts might see the Nexus. Well, they do. They do definitely see the Nexus, and then it's not too far along, but the difference is...
Ooh, they're dead.
See a Stargate and not are just so close, so I'm not sure you can tell.
That's interesting to fall back to chase these. I mean, more importantly, the Patience would let that finish.
Really wants to get a scout in. I mean, again, that Nexus might have been a little suspicious, so he was like, I really want to make sure there's a Stargate or not. Or maybe just, in general, what else are you really going to do with the Adepts? If the game goes on, you're going to want to transfer them to Stalkers.
That was a little bit of miscontrol. Could have been a second probe dead. Not the end of the world out of Patience. But did end up getting the scout that he wanted. So back at home, what's he got? Sentries made right away, I guess force fields, because he didn't know what would be coming, but sentries are not going to be what you actually want versus the Stargate.
Well, yeah, they're actually can die to an Oracle, so it's a little scary.
Hey, some bits to open up the stream. Thank you, Lithium X4900.
Okay, cool. That is a second Oracle on the way for Hurricane. This can definitely kill sentries, but of course looking for those probes. Patience, realizing the aggression that was to come, I'd already just pre-pulled the natural probes, and I think was rallying up until that point right there. He just lost one probe. Actually going for Resident Glaives, he is preparing an attack on Hurricane. So while he looks purely defensive right now, he actually has a gateway set up that Hurricane, I think, missed. Yeah, despite having a Stargate, his oracles never pathed along that. That would have been very useful to know.
Okay, well, action's going to kick up as Adepts get into the natural base. Probes already being pulled. Yeah, minimize losses, which is nice. The Adepts can't get too much for it, but of course, the real attack's going to be coming in afterwards. So these first couple of Adepts, I wonder if, I guess, oh, he's going to kamikaze him. I was going to say, I wonder if we'd be better off trading these out for probes or keeping them alive for adding into that secondary attack, as Resident Glaives are finishing up very soon.
Well, Hurricane didn't scout the proxy gateway. He did just see that there was 4 gateways total in the main, and that's like a little suspicious. And of course the Chrono on the Twilight Council. And he's seen nothing but Adepts so far warped in, offensively, and just these units, I guess, defensively. So he probably has some idea. He's got a second pylon coming in the front. I think that's usually pretty indicative that they feel something's on the way. And I'm not really sure how much Patience can do with this.
He keeps trying to go for the probes, and I respect that decision, but it's just not working. This is like the third warp in of Adepts where you're like, look, the Hurricane's got the defense, man. You're not going to catch him with his pants down. You're going to have to get a real fight. Little bits of harass aren't going to cut it. Oracle's now going to realize what's going on, by the way, and will kill 2 of the Adepts. Ooh, that sucks. Maybe even more.
Yeah. I'm going to say that's a lot of energy that it has. It might have been worth chasing, but it's still out in the middle here. So Patience is now left with a lot of Adepts and Resident Glaives research as opposed to Blink. So he's kind of actually forced himself to play a certain way that is not the usual. Hurricane is playing a lot more like usual, with a pretty quick robotics bay. But Blink is the point. That may or may not be a problem. I mean, mass Resident Glaives Adepts is not bad, but you know, as they were nerfed in the other matchups, they were also nerfed in PvP. Like their mass quantity sometimes just doesn't work out as well as it used to.
Well, the army does stay in position, so there's nothing to get caught off guard by. As Patience moves out, though, like this third base is a little bit weird. On one hand, it'll be really good if he actually gets to use it. On the other, though, this is kind of like 400 minerals away from your potential attack, and if you're going with a Warp Prism, you want a lot of warp-ins, right?
Yeah, I guess he's not really planning on all-inning, though, so, you know, just the Warp Prism keeps on going in and out, you know, and that's fine. Hurricane might even want to invest in either a Void Ray or a Phoenix, just to make sure it dies. Because once he sees that it's nothing but Adepts in there, then you can chase it all you want. Thank you, Lithium, for the 1,000 bits. What does that mean?
I'm going to assume that's a pair of burritos, so 2 of them.
I agree with you.
I don't know. But anyway, thank you. Lithium, the new bit boss, has entered the arena. 767 health. Good luck, friends. The Warp-In is not going to get shut down. The Warp Prism will die, but the Adepts did manage to finish off. There's an attack coming in the front, too. So, oh, Hurricane's going to get locked into his main base. These sentries, if they get there, no, the Adepts are blocking them. Can't get the force field.
Yeah, they kind of.
So, well, you know, it kind of works. It's not the way you would have expected with one, but you mission accomplished.
Yeah, and their Blink Stalkers, of course, can run down anyways, so they do clean up the Adepts. The probes were pulled initially, but then went back to mining, so a lot of them are going down. But let's not forget that Patience did stop his probe production despite getting a third base, so they end up being still pretty even. With again, I think Hurricane getting to a better army.
Yeah, Patience had, for small time, upgrades going in his favor, and that could have helped him greatly, but now that's been caught up, so that's not even going to be a thing. The third bases, though, for both players, not really being utilized much, so Oracle comes in to be really annoying. I gotta give some kudos, though. Hurricane's cannon in the main, I think, distracted a lot of the Adepts that went there, because Patience, I think, had just set him and forgot him type thing while he was focusing on the natural, so honestly, not that many probes went down to how many Adepts were attacking. In fact, what's the Adept loss ratio here? 25.
I don't want to say like it's questionable that Patience decided to put his game into Adepts after their recent nerf, because they're still okay. Like they still do a lot of damage, but in this specific game, just like nothing has really seemed to gone right for Patience, and without that extra 10 health, you know, he also could barely not bring it back to a favorable game, as they've already evened up on workers, yet Hurricane still has 20 more supply. an army.
The Disruptor almost gets an amazing hit, just ends up falling short and killing a Stalker. I think the Warp Prism from Hurricane, though, like, if it wasn't already a supply lead, it would be through these Warp Pins. And 73 army to 53, I don't know what Patience does. He's going to try and trade out probes, but between cannons and overcharges, I think Hurricane's got the defense. Disruptors on the front line give him the offense, too. There's just everything here looking so good for Hurricane.
Yeah. Patience is about to have +2 and Blink, and has like a nice number of Immortals before he loses them all. There you go. But right, I think the number is just too great for Hurricane. He is bullying in here.
The Adepts on the other side of the map have been fully cleaned up now, by the way, so that's not even an issue. He surrounds the Immortal and kills it with the Adepts. That's cool to see. Immortal has barrier triggered on the other. Overcharges are popped, but this is just too much. GG.
Gee.
Oh, Lithium says he was offering us some burritos. Hey.
Ah.
It's hard to go wrong with a good, delicious burrito. I like rice in my burritos, actually, quite a bit.
I don't usually like burritos, but there are some monstrosities that are just, they're pretty good, so.
Monstrosities.
Yeah.
That's like a really rude way to describe this great gift he just bestowed upon us.
Well, there are some, like bean burritos. I'm just like, small burritos that are filled, like, I guess those are fajitas, actually. But still, like, we have this place near us that's called, like, taku or something, because it's taco and barbecue smashed together. So I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it. But it's, like, barbecued meat in a burrito. And I thought that was pretty good. Like, barbecue sauce meat. And so it's kind of a monstrosity, I think, that people would say that's pretty American thing they do. Just smush two things together and make a beautiful baby. A beautiful monstrosity.
I'm trying to feed you right now. Just can you pretend to take a bite out of thin air?
No.
Please, I got a burrito. Okay, there we go. That's one of the burritos down. This looks really dumb because every time I click it, it changes size, and I don't know why. Like, look at this, guys. Because you can see my mouse, right? I click it, and it just changes size. So you had for a moment a monstrous burrito and then a regular sized burrito. Thank you, Squeedus, by the way. 10 months is 1 month equals 1 kitten. I think Zombie Hub and I can get behind that logic. Thank you for the 10 cats. Oh my god, I want to start thanking all subs like that now. Thanks for the 10 cat resub.
The 10 cats.
Thanks for the 10 resub.
That's amazing.
Miss Tings also hit us up with a 2-month resub just recently. Says, keep up the great work. Well, thank you. Keep up the great being a viewer. Man, that sounded sarcastic. I meant that to be genuine, though.
Sometimes you just can't help it.
Yeah, it's like fighting with people in chat.
It's super important. I can't help it.
I actually haven't been reading. What are we arguing about? Can I get in on this? Is there balance whining? I love balance whining.
No, it's more like, I guess, the classic design argument, not balance, or someone saying that MMM is really boring to watch and is a problem and has been for 7 years in comparison to Phoenix Adepts that people complain about. But, yeah.
Well, we're going to hop in the game. You guys can hear the beeps. So swap scenes so I don't forget.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty good game out of Hurricane, I gotta say. I liked Patience's attempt at all the aggression, and I guess we'll get more into that in a moment. But leading 1-0 in the bottom left, we do have the blue Protoss. Hurricane.
In the bottom right is the red Protoss. He is Patience.
1,000 bits from Lithium says, ungrateful. This is only for Rifkin now. I tell you what, man, I'm a big fan of burritos. You and me, Lithium, we can get all the burritos we want. And the best part is, because we're not bringing Zombie up, that just means more burritos for us.
That's fine. I don't even care.
Actually, so there's this place in, I don't know if this is like an international brand or not, but there's a place here called Taco Del Mar. Do you have those there?
I guess not. I don't know.
So it's like a burrito / taco place, right? The logo is like a fucking fish with a mustache and a sombrero. It's really stupid. But every time I looked at those stores, they were always like the sort of store that was jammed in the spot of the store that was like obviously for rent because it was cheap, right? Like it wasn't in the main part of the buildings. It wasn't part of big malls. And I always thought like this must be a terrible restaurant brand, right? I wish I hadn't avoided it for like 10-something years because I had a burrito there one day with a friend and it was big, it was cheap, it was delicious. Like it was everything I could have wanted if I wasn't worried about calories.
Mmm. Sounds delicious.
Ah, great time to sell out at the start of this game, by the way. First off, thank you, Hell, for 27 cats, 26 cats. Either way, it's a lot of cats. Thanks for catting back to the stream. Sir100,000 K or 1000K says BaseTradeTV. That's a really cool mouse. What kind is it? And why is the camera on it instead of you? Well, the camera's on it because, well, I guess my hair's kind of grown in now. I'm not too worried about it. But for a couple days, I had really bad hairdo, and I don't know. I've just left it there. I like animating with my hand. It's dumb. It sounds dumb, but I've enjoyed it. Anyways, the mouse is called the Corsair Scimitar. It's great if you're like a player who like lazy like me, you don't want to set up a bunch of key bindings because you can set them on your mouse. It's honestly not a mouse I would recommend for StarCraft, but it's great if you play like MMOs and stuff. Plus, I've put a lot of like hotkeys on this, like okay, to describe how lazy I am, guys. Well, it's not at all difficult to hit Control-C and Control-V. I just hit like 2 and 5 on my mouse pad instead.
Beautiful.
Nailed it.
Nailed it, yeah.
Someone wants to know who are all the other people spectating. Well, at the start of the game, you got TakeTV through Fruit Bunker. This is one of the Chinese casters, and Crank is, well, Crank. Actually, some bad news. If you guys didn't see on Twitter, Crank's normally joined by Alicia, but I guess his mother passed away recently, so it's a little bit sad. He's taking some time off.
Yeah.
Normally have Alicia with Crank being kind of silly, actually. I've not understood a single word of Korean, but I enjoy actually kind of tuning into their cast sometimes just because they are kind of goofy together. Even if you don't speak the language, you can tell they're being goofy.
Yeah. Well, once again, we have Patience attempting to make Adepts work, but this is a pretty sick lock with the Stalker, plus just good SimCity.
Well, so that's kind of what I want to get into. Sorry, we got a little bit distracted, or I got a little bit distracted, but I like the idea of what Patience was doing. I think Adepts can be so devastating that if you don't handle them correctly, it's not no probes lost, it's suddenly 7 probes lost, right? Like, the idea of what he's doing, I can get behind. But I think by now, especially in Game 2, you got to recognize Hurricane is ready for all of that. And if Patience is going to keep throwing away warp in after warp in, minerals and gas away for nothing, it's just not getting the probe kills he needs.
I do like that the transfers out from him, right? Like, committing to them for so long last game, I guess was a consequence of how much he already had committed to it, but also just, you know, decision to go for the all-in. I'm just really wondering how, like, effective Adept all-ins are. I feel like it might still be okay against Zerg and Terran, but I don't know, where Spurdos was always a little bit weird. Anyways, it's actually transitioned into still not Blink Stalkers, but rather Robotics Bay. Very quick. Almost like Warp Prism drop Robotics Bay. Yeah, okay, look at that. Maybe going for Disruptor drops would be kind of cool.
I think Disruptors would be cool to see out this early, but man, part of me wants to just see speed on that Warp Prism. I feel like the micro capabilities Warp Prisms bring early game when there's no blink is like actually pretty insane. Goes for the Sentry, gets it, nice tag there for Patience. That's a better trade than I think he had for most of all of last game.
Guess so. I really don't know about Disruptor drops. It's another it's like another just build I'm just like I'm curious about actually using. Obviously, if control is good, then it's free damage. Plus, it can come back home if you get attacked, and it can still be a very good defensive tool. But Hurricane is one thing going to blink, which is a pretty common style to go to in PvP. And if Patience is out of position or too close to a mineral line for 1 second, that is a dead, very expensive dead Warp Prism Disruptor. Which it's scouted now too, which is another big deal. So you can actually get like preparation, put units in position.
So that's an interesting scout though, because when you scout Warp Prism speed, it's such like an asterisk on like what you can really do to prepare for it. Like, okay, you might have 4 Stalkers in the right position, but that Warp Prism is also going to be moving really fast. There's the Nitros.
Yeah, sure. It is the difference of like having all your units in the main, or Yeah, the main as opposed to the natural or vice versa or whatever. So he's actually... Hurricane is something that's very, very bold, which he went scouting for it with his stalkers, which means that he gets absolutely not in the right position. It was really weird. He was either scouting for the Warp Prism or scouting for a proxy pylon of some sort to see if there's like a follow-up ball. And the point is, the stalkers were out in the middle of the map, not anywhere near his mineral lines. But oh lordy. Oh my god. Oh, no.
Oh, that second blink was actually really sick. Okay, so he shuts down not just the Disruptor, but in my opinion, more importantly, the fast Warp Prism. So this is a really good start for Hurricane. Patience now, not totally SOL, but feeling the hurt. That's for certain.
Yeah. I don't. And Patience went for double forge, which is also
double forge and a third.
Yeah, this is pretty greedy. I mean, if he had the Warp Prism still, like, this is actually a really brilliant idea, right? It's any concept with harassment that you can get away with a lot if you're appropriately keeping them at home. But without it, this is just a big old risk. And we've seen another Protoss, it was like Zest or someone go for a double forge in a more regular game, like gateway units versus gateway units, and it still didn't pay off in the game that we watched anyways. So I really am it's not on board with double forge quite yet, but it does seem to be appearing in more and more PvPs. Only Hurricane knew about that third.
Well, Hurricane may not have known about the third, but he is getting his own third timing, so at least he won't be falling behind. But that was going to be like a freebie. There's no way Patience could have comfortably contested that. And Hurricane could have like hit and run. I think with Blink especially could have done some fancy footwork. I don't know. But Patience's Blink is finishing up, so now that option's not really there. I think when it's Blink versus no Blink, you can do a lot. In fact, you'll see the Blink timing finish, weirdly enough, if he stays around too long.
And it's got to be Blink without many stalkers, so just gonna skedaddle out. He did drag most of the army in the main base. The Hurricane attempted to go to the front, but it's not, it's too late, not that many stalkers. On double forge is gonna give Patience that lead he was looking for his stalkers specifically, but right, the disruptor count. I mean, so much better for Hurricane. Like, Patience just stopped building them.
There's some like asterisks on this though, because even though he never really won a lot of games on the stream, M. Canning really opened my eyes to like how crazy disruptor fights can be. And like, seriously, one disruptor versus 8 and takes all 8 of them out is actually a thing that happens.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty cool. It's actually a very fun matchup. And disruptor or just mass gateway units versus disruptors, that is something that can work. But it is obviously a lot harder to pull off, and Hurricane is not lacking in the other unit department, really. I mean, he doesn't have as many stalkers, not nearly as many. Ooh, so it makes this Blink really awkward. But he just had 2 Immortals and a couple Sentries, and, he's also gone his way to double forge, so he's only going to be 1 upgrade behind, not 2 upgrades.
The income graph right now looks like one of those lifelines to hook you up to in the hospital. Beep, 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 beep.
Yeah, I never really learned how to read those.
It's your heartbeat, man.
I think it's a little more complicated than that, actually. Like, no attempts to make myself look smarter or less smart, I suppose.
Oh, I just always assumed it was the heartbeat. Or heart rates, whatever, one of the two.
I think we understood what you meant. So, I mean, Patience, if he uses Blink to escape, then he can't really engage the army, so he was just kind of forced to retreat even more.
He's got an upgrade lead. It's not much, but he does have an upgrade lead. But it's the disruptors that make this so scary and so spicy. If Patience had the time to get like a Stargate out, I think if he keeps all these stalkers alive, he actually might even have a chance to win the game. But he's going to lose a lot of stalkers, because on the retreat path, they're going to have to go through not only Hurricane stalkers, but also disruptors.
I think Hurricane is really hoping that Patience would blink back into that army, because otherwise, like, Patience didn't actually have eyes on the army. All he knew was that it wasn't attacking his natural yet. But that wasn't what he decided to do, and Patience probably made the really right choice by continuing to be aggressive. Sure, he loses a handful of stalkers, but otherwise he would have lost his entire army. He still is going to be at a disadvantage, however. Like, if it does turn into a base trade, maybe that's something that Patience can win with more stalkers. But if there's any chance that a direct fight happens, then I don't think there's a way that Patience can win at all. He's splitting up the army, though, which is actually working out quite well. There's too many disruptors to try and snipe them.
Ooh, that was kind of scary. Warp Prism is going to cause problems. Stalkers on the top side gonna cause problems. Patience once again with an upgrade lead, albeit barely, still has an upgrade lead. Knocking on the rock tower. Well, that's twice in like 24 hours we've seen this done.
Didn't kill a bunch of lurkers this time though.
That was still pretty cool though. I really favor Patience behind this though, honestly, because he's not relying on tech like the same way Hurricane is for Robo. All this extra income, all these bases that he's constantly being ahead of, that's the money for the warp-ins, that's the gateway units, but at some point, like, this is going to boil down to where Patience needs something more than just Stalkers. Like, maybe he can win the game with pure blank Stalkers, but the likelihood of that is fairly low.
It really is. I mean, we can see why it might be able to happen as Patience is doing a good job with them, but it's also just like, well, you know, eventually it's going to happen. And what's funny is that it's not Patience who's adding on any more tech, you know, it is Hurricane that's adding on charge and, well, more mortals. Does use a lot of disruptor shots, but he still has like 2 more, something like that. And with adding in immortals, he also is guaranteeing that if he ever does run out of disruptor shots, he can't be beat anyways. You know, 6 immortals is gonna wreck Patience's army.
I gotta say though, I'm really impressed and almost confused to see Patience do it this long with what is like just Stalkers.
It is. I'm looking at this army setup from Patience, and I'm like, well, if there wasn't a billion immortals, then maybe this would have been a really cool surround. But there's just no way army ever takes a fight. Charge is coming in as well, like, so that's not only going to be able to help maybe the main army, like get a couple of swings on these retreating blink stalkers. It's also going to be nice for the warp prism harassment that Hurricane's also investing into. He's getting observer speed. I was like, so like, observer speed and gravitic drive look like nothing basically, which is why it's so hard to tell. Oh my god.
No. Okay, well, hang on. So on that note, I actually really like the Observer Speed upgrade a lot because what he's doing is no Oracles, no Stargate, no Revelation, and he needs to know where the Disruptors are at all times. And there's no reason Hurricane's really going to have his own detection. Like, they're going to have scouting observers here and there, but nobody's going to be really trailing with the army for the most part. Well, maybe this one will be. But either way, I like the idea of the speed and the observers giving him the eyes he'll need to take better fights. I don't like, though, that he just lost a good chunk of Stalkers for what was seemingly nothing.
Yeah, it just looked like they were not being paid attention to.
Yeah, he's just looking at the wrong spot at the wrong time, and it hurt.
Oh, no! Okay, well, Hurricane almost...
Yeah, the one on the back. The one on the back. Patience has taken a 5th base while this goes on. He's going to shut down Hurricane's 4th simultaneously. That's pretty sick. He doesn't quite get it, though, which sucks. Either way, base advantage still going to Patience.
So with the charge lots plus the blink forward, Hurricane's army maybe isn't so bad, but he still needs his immortals to also get in it, and he's going to wrap around and maybe catch Patience a little bit with disruptors.
It's just a little too far out. Timing was almost great there. Meanwhile, more stalkers come down here. He's going to be picking off gas geysers and whatever he can do safely. Focuses down the disruptors. Hurricane not paying attention, loses 2 very expensive units.
You know, the thing is, though, he might just... Okay, you don't want to give away disruptors. I'm not saying that. That's obviously a problem. But I feel like if he had just gone for a lot more mortals and no disruptors, it still would have been better, you know? Like, he hit... Continuing to make disruptors, I think, is a little bit under the assumption that your opponent will eventually start making disruptors as well. But if they never do, if they just literally make stalkers, then immortals are also pretty damn good.
Yeah, as we see, they're just kind of coming through powerhouse style. But, well, Patience might not have a lot of upgrades for his zealots. Well, actually, he does. He's got charge. So he could warp those in defensively. He's got 3/3. I mean, zealots would not be too bad in this situation. Most of the disruptors and only 1 Archon. Like, this is... Other side of the map, his zealots have been going ham in this mineral line. It's taking some time to kill, but both players losing bases, both players losing mineral lines.
I'm really glad to see that Patience eventually got the charge locks, you know? Like, if he didn't really want to build any robo units at all, except, I guess, observers, then fine, that's his prerogative. But the zealots could have helped out a lot versus the immortals, but also the disruptors, too.
You know, that +3 armor has actually been playing a pretty big influence because Patience has now taken like 3 different zealot fights with the same zealots. He does knock down the 3rd, and this one's weak from earlier, so if he wants to, he just focus down this Nexus.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I wonder what...
Patience, I think, is going to win this game. And only because Hurricane's going to have no money. Patience not only has a base up here, he's expanding to the top left.
Oh. It's always so hard to say. Like, 8 immortals, man. Like, I'm pretty sure that beats 25 stalkers.
But that's the thing. Like, as soon as he starts getting some zealots into his composition, even just 6 like this.
Yeah, that's true. The charge lots could make the big difference here. There's also a couple of accessory units though. Like there's the Archons, there's the Guardian Shield, kills the Nexus, or cancel the Nexus, kills the War Prism, plus 3 armor, finally finishing up a Hurricane as well.
But, so here's the thing, like he can sacrifice like 7 Zealots to kill 1 Archon, and it's still worth it because Hurricane doesn't have any money. Like this 600 minerals he's got banked, I don't think he's looking to take another Nexus. I think he's looking to build like 6 more Zealots at best.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. He doesn't have a lot of money, but
he's gonna try
really neither does Patience quite yet. He has 1 base mining that is running out of minerals, and another one on the way. So it's not like he is rolling in the cash.
No, but that's what I was hung up on, right? The fact that he could mine, the fact that he was mining, the fact that we look at this income graph and it's like a steep dive. But regardless, I do want to point out that Hurricane did finally catch up on upgrades, so it's no longer this discrepancy of armor.
This looks like a pretty good split. I mean, there definitely is one thing here, and that's if Hurricane splits incorrectly, then that's enough Stalkers to tear down a Disruptor and like maybe 3 Immortals. But Patience really can't split either, so to split back home is not an option. Like, and it's kind of like either one splits incorrectly, and they could probably lose a very important Nexus or a lot of probes.
Oh, this was
a lot
bold.
of probes. Yeah. Barriers, of course, weren't popped, so they did last a little bit longer, but that might have still been an efficient trade.
That was something Patience did, though. He did pop like half of those shields before, and he waited them out, then went in for the blink, and that was really cool to see, but those Immortals were such a big part of Hurricane's army. Cancels the base. Screw it. Not worth it. He's going to warp in Archons, Zealots, big warp-ins, big gateways.
That's a really nice use of his cash there. The Archons are going to be huge.
Oh, buying time by knocking down the rocks is cool, too. Observer's just going to...
Sure, why not? You know, if they're going to... Nah, I don't think it's a possibility. Hurricane is finally mining again from his own base. And this is, I think, maybe a healthier base, too. I mean, thinking real long-term here, but... Having lost the Immortals, I'm not sure long-term can work out anymore for Hurricane. I was going to lose even more. That's actually, I think, it. I can't believe Stalkers did it. It's like Patience played hard mode against Hurricane, but he really controlled it quite well.
Look at the Shift L or whatever, right? The units lost this game. 93 Stalkers. Combined with the, like, 19 he's got in play, like, Stalkers are not cheap units. You are not supposed to see 93 Stalkers dead in a game.
Cheaper than Immortals and Disruptors.
Yeah, I'll show you those die too. Yeah, I was gonna say they put 10 and 10. Ah, yikes.
Yeah, this is definitely game over. Like, Hurricane's thinking, okay, the Stalker army not so bad, but these Charge Lots and Archons are gonna... That's too much. It's way too much. He does have a shield upgrade, I suppose. Small things.
So for the last 5 minutes, I've slowly, like, one character and one small edit at a time with my left hand been trying to get a GIF out.
I'm proud of you. I cannot believe Hurricane lost this game. Patience made it work with Stalkers for about 17 minutes.
Like I can though, because I thought what was really cool about this, I didn't love Patience's composition. GG. I'm not gonna try and sell you guys on pure blank Stalker. But Patience was doing a lot of really good decision making, and you could see the gears turning in his head with what he was trying to do. The only moment of that game where I sat there and I went like, I don't know about this Patience, was when he did like dive forward with all the Stalkers and go to the third and possibly get stuck and sandwiched. But outside of that, I loved every move he made. I loved the decision making. I thought it was a great game out of Patience.
Sure, yeah.
Well, either way, guys, it has been 33 minutes since our last ad break, so we're gonna take a quick break, 2 minutes before we get into the next game. See you soon. All right, folks, we are back, and looks like we're getting into the next game pretty quick here, so just going to hop to the in-game scene for Abyssal Reef. Oh, do some hype! Infest Dylan. What's up? Welcome to the Base Trade Brigade. Hey, quick question for those who are not subbed, I guess, or looking to resub. I'm not asking you guys to do it, but are the options there now? Like, I can see in our dashboard the new sub tiers, right? Like the $9.99 and the $24.99. Is that actually an option for you guys to sub with now, or is that not an option yet? For those who don't know, too, by the way, Twitch yesterday rolled out a lot of the new changes that they had talked about, and I'm very happy with seeing some of them. But the best part is on the dashboard. I can't show you guys this, obviously, but on the dashboard, they actually very clearly outline how much each subscriber is worth, how much you have in each tier, etc. And of course for us it's like, you know, 1,000 and then 0 and then 0 because nobody's signed up with the new tiers yet. So I'm just wondering if that's actually an option yet or not. So if you guys can let me know in chat, I would appreciate it. But we're getting into game number 3. Things are now tied up 1-1, and in the bottom right we got the red Protoss Hurricane, who I think was blue last game.
In the top left is the blue Protoss. It is Patience. Well, it doesn't look like it's an option.
Yeah, I don't know how a lot of this stuff gets rolled out, but what's kind of cool is, so, and I guess while we're waiting for the early game to kick off here, I want to explain this because it's neat. I didn't fully understand how this was going to work either. So if you are a regular subscriber to the channel, we actually have 25 emoticon slots unlocked now permanently. Woo!
Oh boy.
And what's great about that is like we can interchange them. So my idea of wanting to have them special set up for show matches, etc., like that's maybe something we'll do. But the point is everybody will have access to all 25 of those, no matter what tier of sub you are. If you're the tier 2 subscriber, you will have one special emoticon unlocked available to you. And from what I understand, if you're a tier 3 subscriber, you'll have two special ones, the tier 3 one, but also the tier 2 one. So I'm trying to think of like what we can do. I don't want to make like those emotes like too special, but I want them to be like special, right?
A little special. Just like
a little bit.
Yeah, tiny little bit. Yeah.
Probe is kind of set up in a bit of a cheeky spot.
Yes, it is. They both are one-basing for the time being. Hurricane not proxying, but still opening up with the Adepts for the first time in the series, I do believe. He's been the one defending against Adepts from Patience. These Adepts might just be able to scout the one-base Twilight Council. Not going to scout the Proxy Pylon, of course, but might have some indication that aggression is coming.
Do you think a Dark Shrine?
I think maybe a Gateway.
Like I was hoping a Dark Shrine, like a secret Dark
both.
Shrine. Oh, yeah.
The Dark Shrine is put in that same location, so we're both correct.
This is a problem, though, because Patience has nothing at home. This isn't even like, okay, he's got nothing to defend with, which he doesn't, but he has nothing at home. So for Hurricane, there's so many red flags going right now.
Oh, he doesn't want him to see the Twilight Council. That's not researching anything.
Did that actually get revealed? He did see the Twilight Council not researching anything. So yeah, the robo start. This is great. The robo time here starts up immediately. A couple of probes died on this side of the map. I guess some Adepts did go in, trade out for each, but 9 probes to 3. That kind of hurts for Patience. The fact that he's going to have an observer waiting for him means these DTs are not going to be that effective.
Yeah, I mean, the aggression might still work out here. There is, after all, a proxy gateway, but if he just tries a DT thing that fails and has a much later expansion, then Patience is in a world of trouble.
And it looks like the new tiers are not available yet, according to folks. Okay, that's good to know. So people were saying new ones are gonna be expensive. Yeah, but the thing is, like, you guys gotta understand. For example, some people, like, there's a couple of folks on Patreon who are like sub for like $50, and Terminator does like a lot too. I think he's like one of the higher tiers on mine. So these are folks who maybe they don't want to use Patreon. Maybe they'd rather do Twitch because you get cooler benefits for it. And I like that more, to be honest. Like, I'm a big fan of Patreon. I think it's great. But you can't really give back with it the same way you can with Twitch. But Twitch also means less money, so it's like, roll my eyes. Yeah, Terminator is literally the only guy who's claimed like any... No, excuse me. Solidus Dub did for Fenner's birthday. But nobody else claims the rewards on Patreon. I got some pretty good rewards. I got some juicy-ass rewards on the Rift and Patreon.
It's pretty universal. I also do not take advantage of the Patreons I'm subbed to.
Oh. Alright, donation coming in from Phoenix636. Thank you for the $5, sis. Lowering the bar for recent donations in hopes that it will encourage more people to donate. Good luck with the broadcast today. What's he? Oh, because it's displayed up here in the top right. Thank you, Phoenix. The consideration is appreciated. But, I don't know. We actually have... It's been weird this whole year because we've been forwarding all donations towards the Mega Tournament fundraiser. It's not really been donation focused. In fact, I would say especially over the last 2 months, bits have been like where all the hype's been.
It definitely has. And I don't know if that's a conscious decision by some people knowing where the donations are going, or if it just really has been like Bit City, maybe Bit Boss.
Yeah, Bit City is a real thing. We've been living and vacationing there.
Yeah.
Airbnb.
So didn't really talk about it.
Airbnb stands for bits and bits.
Air bits and bits. But Patience DT did fail. It killed a sentry that still successfully blocked it from even entering the main base, and otherwise just had to leave. So Hurricane up 8 probes up an army, has better tech on the way.
Yeah, and he's gonna lose these buildings too, which sucks. Like if that hadn't actually been found out by a hurricane, and patients had been left alone, that would have been great. It's a proxy location. You keep the Dark Shrine alive, so you make Archons or something back at home. But not the way this game's gonna play out. With the Robo coming down, we're gonna see disruptors most likely.
Yeah, that is gonna happen. But we're at this point where Hurricane could just get Mass Blink Stalker and overwhelm any amount of disruptors early in the game. Up until about 4, and even then, maybe not even then, you can blink on top of the army with a superior one. So it's still a very worrisome game for Patience, who is definitely crawling his way back. Later to the +1, later to the Immortals, later to the 3rd base. And this Phoenix Scout will reveal the Robotics Bay.
Yeah, it's actually a really nice scout for Hurricane. I mean, what's kind of crazy, by the way, is I'm going to bring this up before things get underway. These guys are actually a little bit closer than I thought it would be. I honestly came into this thinking this was going to be a very Hurricane-sided series, right? And with that very quick 1-0, I thought, yeah, everything going according to plan. But Patience is playing pretty good. And the thing is, last game, especially, he didn't play a strategy that relied on not being seen or not having things scouted. This time around, everything goes about as bad as it can. Dark Shrine's revealed really early. That's shut down. The Robo's revealed pretty early, so he's probably not going to invest too much into this right now, but still get some disruptors, right? But I think if anything else, Patience just kind of displayed he's got good control and really good thought processes for decision making. So yeah, everything here is kind of going bad for him in terms of like it's all getting scouted, but I'm not feeling too bad for Patience just yet.
I like what Hurricane's doing. Besides the fast 3rd base and a good economy, he is also going into not just Charge, but also that Stargate. So Oracle for Revelation, maybe Phoenix is to pick up the Disruptors later. He's the one that has all the time in the world, really, to decide how he wants to play against Disruptors. I mean, he also could have probably slapped down a second Robo in Robotics Bay, and while it have been later to Disruptors, still gotten more Disruptors. But no, he decided to go for Zealots and Phoenixes, which both do an okay job against Disruptors. Again, assuming that the shots don't get off, right? They don't kill all your Zealots if they run forward, or the Phoenixes don't miss the pickup.
Yeah, I'm actually a big fan of Phoenix play. I think it is just at the absolute best, and if you do it right, can't be contested. Especially when the compositions look like this. But a bit of a wasted blink to catch a hallucination. Not a huge deal. DT's just been kind of relegated to an observer with a sword.
Oh. There's another cat that goes outside in my neighborhood, and only just now did I realize how much it looks like Nugget. I had like a mini panic attack when I look at the window, and there's like gray speckled tabby just walking outside. Oh, lordy. Anyway.
How'd Nugget escape?
Yeah, but she loved it here. So, right, we have Phoenix, Zealots, and High Templars even. I mean, this game could go on for a while longer if really no one wants to be aggressive, and it might just go into even Stargate, like real Stargate, like Tempest and Carriers type Stargate. That's really how long it's going to go. I imagine Hurricane, especially once it gets maxed out or simply gets enough Phoenixes, would swoop in and try and kill Patience.
Yeah, I think the thing is, too, it's not even a question. Like, Hurricane knows what Patience has, not just through constant scouting, but he's actually poked in and saw with the army. There's a lot of things going well for Hurricane. I would be completely shocked if he took a fight with Patience and was unprepared for it. But Patience is going a lot into Immortals, and this actually is where the Phoenix, I think, will still pay off. Like, okay, the first thing you're going to want to do is pick up the Disruptors to cancel the shots, to crowd control them, to stop them from getting the big Disruptor blasts off, right? Okay, cool. After that, you lift up the Immortals, and Patience is relying so heavily on going for double Immortals to catch up. Those are just going to be completely crowd controlled out of the fight. They're not going to be part of the equation if done correctly.
Yeah, I mean, Hurricane's not really he doesn't have like 10 or 12 Phoenix. It is only 5 right now, so they are on a limited amount of energy, and they could even be target fired as the hallucinating Phoenixes scout this. Patience has to have everything go pretty right for him. At least his upgrades are finishing as the attack occurs. Resident Glaives and +2. But he is still down 30 army supply. No real way to deal with the Warp Prism. And, well, Swarth Base is definitely going to be canceled.
Should be. If this gets killed, I'd be surprised. Yeah. All right, so he's got the Phoenix kind of scouting ahead. They're not going to be easily picked up by the Stalkers. They're going to swoop in and look for the disruptor shots. Oh, not necessary, actually. Just kind of walks away from them instead. I don't know if this is a situation where Hurricane can aim for a soft contain. Like, this is really, like, you want to get a fight. There's so many Zealots that have been warped in. Charge is going to be great if it gets on top of the army. But it is about dodging the disruptor shots.
He should be able to pick any weapons that come up now. He's specifically going to waiting. There we go. Picks up an Immortal as well. Point is, gets rid of those disruptor shots.
Charge lots are going ham, though, while this goes on. And the Immortals are just not part of the equation, as stated. Archons chase down the disruptors. Armies disappeared for Patience. And Hurricanes just keeps killing and kicking ass.
Yeah, Hurricane just the better army overall. GG!
GG. But that's not it, guys. That's not the end of the series. This is a best of 5, not a best of 3. So Hurricane now up 2-1 puts Patience on his very last life. See if Patience can bring it back here for game 4 or not. Quick break, though, while we set up the lobby. We'll see you guys soon. All right, folks, we're back. Thanks for watching that break. Helping us earn a couple of bucks. We do appreciate it. You were making the most awkward face, though, as I was bringing the scene back. What happened?
What are you talking about?
You had this kind of like, ooh, sort of like grin on your face.
I don't know what you're talking about, actually. I made a curious face when you asked me that question. And then otherwise, I didn't have any special emotion.
Okay. If you say so. We'll leave it as is. Game, I don't have proof because they didn't have the stream back up, so like nobody saw but me. All right, well, game number 4 is underway in this best of 5 semifinals. I want to remind you guys that there is going to, of course, be the grand finals and the other semifinals still to be cast. But the prize pool for this tournament is made possible entirely thanks to the folks who support this through Patreon. If Olimoleague's lurking around in chat, you can ask your questions about the Patreon if you have any. Prize pool is $500, $250 for first place, $150 for second, and then $50 for third and fourth. Not too shabby. That being said, we are here, and in the bottom right, he's going to be the red Protoss player, Hurricane.
In the bottom left is the blue Protoss. He is Patience.
What is this? I was going to say, I'm not sure what they're doing with that. But also, what is Nexi Kuro trying to do? He's been doing this like over the last half hour. Don't mention the mouse cam. Rifkin's scratch lottery addiction is very serious and a sensitive subject. What? Did I miss another joke in chat?
Maybe he assumes that's why it's there, is for the scratch-offs. I don't know. I don't know.
I guess.
Yes. I tried, man. Let's tell you. Anyways, Cactus Valley, yeah. Patience is map choice. Of course, there are limited maps available.
Yeah, actually.
And get a yellow stuff for the 27-month resub.
Yeah, it's just a quick reminder. Thank you for the resub as well. 5 maps, not 7. So, this is not really loser's pick if this goes to game 5. It's more like, okay, it's the last map available.
You know what I haven't done? I've had these for like 2 weeks now, but I never thought during downtime to show off the new red flag cards that I got. I have on my desk now because I want to make sure I bring them to Austin.
I hope I bring that to Austin. I saw a game actually kind of similar to that. I wish I could remember what the name of it was, but it was you would play a monster card or something, and then 2 disasters to go with it, and you had to like fight each other, like who would win.
Oh, that's kind of cute.
So I sat down and I think it was like Bigfoot versus France. And one of the weapons Bigfoot had was like an orbital bombardment. And they're like, yeah, just bombard anywhere in the world and France is just going to run away. You automatically win.
Interesting. I haven't heard of that one yet, but yeah, I got the nerdy one and the sexy one. Interesting enough, the sexy expansion pack doesn't have any red card. Yeah, any red cards. So that was very weird.
That would make sense if you think about it.
Why?
There's no downsides to being sexy.
Oh, I'm pretty sure you can think of weird sex things. I'm pretty sure.
Alright, well, we'll take a look at those if we get some downtime. But this is looking pretty straightforward. As Patience sends the depths in. Oh, actually cancels to snipe the probe and the natural. That was kind of cute.
Yeah, once again, the depth openers for both players. Hurricane, however, is proxying. Decides he wants to be aggressive. Because he really has not been the aggressive one at all in these games. changing it up. Oracle helps take care of the Adepts, but still loses a couple of probes.
3 go down over there. Almost loses a sentry back at home, though. That would have been pretty nasty. Kind of expensive units. That being said, Hurricane's natural, having had that probe been sniped off, this took a long time to get back down and to get that started. So Patience is finishing up right around the time Hurricane starts his.
Yeah, it's pretty late. And that's something that Patience should have noted and should be like preparing at least a little bit for something sneaky. I mean, sure, the Stargate delay delays it, but only by like 10 seconds, I think. Considering the first game, I think that's how it went down. But Patience not scouting for anything. And still doesn't have pylons at the front of his base, but notably isn't probing his natural either. Oh no, he just sent his probes. Just kidding. Just transfer. Interesting. I don't know. This is feeling like the first game on Belshir, except it's Hurricane that's not doing so hot yet. But here come the force fields trying to get the units from the main base. The Oracles come in and snipe one of the sentries. Not too shabby. Second one goes down as well.
Wish I knew whether that was Patience's force field or Hurricane's on the ramp.
Pretty sure that was Hurricanes.
Yeah, keep Patience's reinforcements from coming down. I thought was also keep Hurricane from going to the main.
Yeah, I guess so. So this was a very light amount of pressure. I mean, it was only a proxied star gateway. I mean, he has a Stargate, but it was a proxied gateway.
Proxy star gateway.
Yeah. So it's really, it doesn't have to be that committed, but he got 2 sentries for it. I guess he also stopped Patience from mining from his base for so long that they do kind of have even incomes again. Yeah, I guess it was worth it.
Well, actually, well, it might be evening out now. Patience, as you guys can clearly see, has had quite the bump in economy over the last couple of minutes.
It's true. Interesting. Well, the Oracles could always help maybe tear down the probes by even 4 or 5 with 2 of them. War Prism of Patience, though, could tear down Hurricane's probes. Stalker Warpins, interesting. He needs 1 more, though. I think he only has 3 gateways. It's always so awkward to see that.
Well, this is not Adepts. This is Stalkers. So this is,
It's very odd. I mean, you want 4 Stalkers, so that's why it's like super weird. And again, he couldn't warp in a 4th one because he didn't have the warp-ins. But now he's actually just committing to an attack. He does have Blink finishing up. Hurricane is in error here, trying to catch the Warp Prism warping in. That was a big mistake. Could have been worse too if there was sentries.
Overcharge does drive this off. That could have been really bad if those 2 Oracles had got there uncontested.
Oh, looks like Adepts again in the main base. This is really annoying. Hurricane doesn't have a lot of army to spread around quite yet, so he is depending on a very good split of units. But he has 2 photon overcharges for the front. That is going to give Patience maybe pause. Plus, Patience has to wait for his blink to finish. There it is now. Try and blink on the Immortal. He was thinking about it, maybe. And his Guardian Shield and Immortal. Still 2 more photon overcharges. I think Hurricane is okay. And Patience seems to think so as well, as he does expand to the 3rd base. Adepts are warped in from Hurricane and that proxy. Oracle finally dies, that last Oracle. It's mostly photon overcharges used. This could get maybe 5 probes. Nice. Target fire! Target fire! Maybe correct!
War Prism is going to slowly be picked off. But funny enough, this is where the Stalkers actually end up working out, right? They can shoot back at the Phoenix.
Yeah. Good combination, though, to bring the Immortal back up here to help out, so... Still not taking any hull damage on that War Prism. That's going to be very useful for still some time. And Hurricane has once again found himself later to an expansion. And while he does have Immortals, it's not like Patience is too far behind on that. So I don't think Hurricane has a chance here to be aggressive. I think he was once again just falling behind. Yeah, that War Prism is trying its hardest to survive. Kills the Phoenix. Very nicely done.
Yeah, with the Phoenix removed from the equation, it should live. But, this is crazy watching Patience go like so gateway heavy again. I guess it worked for him once, so he'll think that's the best way to go for it again. But this isn't pure Blink Stalker like before. There's sentries, there's resonating glaives. He's actually getting options.
Yeah, exactly. It's not quite all pure Blink Stalker. But, I mean, Hurricane does have a bit of an army supply lead. The Adepts could transfer into multiple bases so they could maybe even up the economy again. And Hurricane's following up with the Dark Shrine, so hoping to catch Patience somewhere off guard. I'm just not sure it's going to happen. Patience is running back, so unfortunately position is not on his side. His very vulnerable pure stalker army is on one side, the rest of his units on another.
It just made the most worthless update to the casters command! Exclamation mark casters.
Egg?
I should have put a question mark at the end. That was my mistake. Okay, so weird base trade kind of happening here. He takes out the third. There is no third to take out, so Patience goes right to the natural. But you know what? That's a lot of pylons. A lot of overcharges waiting to happen. He can blink up to the high ground, bypassing the pylons, picks off the Immortal. Oh, this is real nice here for Patience.
But he picked off the Observer. Hurricane, I couldn't tell if he focus fired that, or that was the only thing he could see with that overcharge. But the DTs are going to provide excellent defense now. That was pretty cool. Hurricane brings it back, kills the third base, kills a bunch of stalkers, kills a bunch of probes. It was good.
I didn't actually think about the DTs. That was really good, actually. I was just like,
timing,
okay,
like,
he kills.
Finished.
Well, I was just thinking, like, wait, he kills the Observer, so now there's no way to continue to blink up and down. That's all I was thinking about for that. The DTs was a great extra step.
No,
But
this is really cool.
Yeah, and the army comes back home too, so Patience can't really do much more. He just brought the Warp Prism back over too, and I think he wanted to get to the main, but even then, like, the problem with DTs would still persist.
Exactly. Hurricane might be bothered to make another Phoenix too, now that he's chasing these stalkers. The Warp Prism is up for grabs, but not thinking about it right now, and he might be able to tear it down with Blink anyways, as his Blink is finally finishing up. They both get to Robotics Bay, and they both maybe are going to expand from this too. Again, Patience didn't really have that bad of an army. That's not really why the things that happened just happened. It was just that Patience's positioning was poor to defend a third base, so he instead tried to kind of base trade, base for base. I say that because Patience still, even right now, has a bit of an army supply lead, and he could be aggressive. But he has that to throw down his third base. He is probably going to be worried about DT harassment. There's third base now. And it's just going to be another macro game, but with Patience down 8 probes. I guess their probe count might be... Oh, we might have to really think about their probe count, because they're both starting to mine out of their mains. Naturals are going to start losing their mineral patches soon.
Yeah, these thirds actually be incredibly important.
Yeah, it's been a very funky game in that there's been a lot of really aggressive, maybe game-winning moments if things have been slightly different for both players. And instead, it has just been cut downs. Like, I cut your probes, I cut your third base, and I caught up. So, they're like both going to be on only 1.5 base mining here.
I'm currently caught up in a booty discussion on Twitter, by the way. I've been periodically checking in on.
Of course you are.
It's a streamer friend of mine, I guess. A couple folks each took an attempt to draw Genji. And like, one of them looks really legit, but one of them also focuses on the booty. So I think you know which one I voted for.
Booty.
Yeah.
Anna's booty. That's why Mercy probably likes him.
that one comic where she waits till he's dead.
Yeah.
That's like the play of the game.
That guy's such a good comic.
Yeah, I love those sort of derpy style of comics. I wish we had something like that for StarCraft. Okay, lots of disruptors have been coming out of Hurricane. 2 robos pumping them out. It's always good to have. But Patience's army, as stated before, this wasn't just Blink Stalkers. It wasn't just Gateways like we'd seen. So he actually has a pretty nice mix of units. But while this goes on, he's been focusing on probes. And you pointed out, and I'm going to re-bring it up, like, probe count is going to matter a lot as economies are in really rough shape.
Nice target fire on that Warp Prism. Finally going to get rid of that thing. That's been around for some time and harassed by Phoenix for most of it. But Adepts did live and are denying mining. I guess from a base that already had very little mining anyways. But more importantly, distracts the army. So now Hurricane's third base is under attack. He might lose his, whereas I don't think Hurricane can kill Patience's third.
Yeah, I mean, that's just Adepts for damage, right? That's not much. Meanwhile, these Adepts have completely drawn the attention, so Hurricane ends up using a Disruptor shot that could have killed a lot of his own probes, even.
This Nexus is starting to take hull damage in a second here. Patience was warping in. Stalkers, okay, it looks like. I mean, they're not going to kill it, but they did more damage than I thought they would. Hurricane just plants his back down and is going to unfortunately just have to take the time lost. He is up 20 army supply, though, and if he... Well, he killed the Warp Prism, and he knows he killed it. He's also going to figure the army has left soon as he sends scouting units out. You think he could attack? Okay, they're going to meet in the middle. I believe that's a Patience's adept. Oh, I thought that was going to be an observer. Point is, they both have eyes in the middle, which is kind of funny.
Well,
both meet in the middle.
The army supply, it didn't occur to me till just now, but there's no upgrades. Like, I mean, there's like utility upgrades, Blink and Resonating Glaives. But this +1 that Hurricane's starting behind this is like the first upgrade this game 14 minutes in.
Mm-hmm. It has been very cutthroat. The low economy as well. Patience starting to bank a little bit of cash. I mean, their thirds have been under attack so often, it's not too surprising to see that both of them have never gotten to gas geysers on their thirds. And that might be a problem for Patience here, as he can barely even warp in a lot of adepts. Oh, lordy, that's all the Stalker's gonna die. 3 of them survive? 4 of them do survive. And there's another War Prism trying to drop adepts in here.
Okay, so Patience is bleeding out pretty significant portions of his army, which definitely sucks, because while we might be harping a lot on the economy and the probes, you have the economy and the probes to get the army. So if you're losing the army, who cares about the money you've mined?
Yes. And once again, they have been evened up, and Hurricane just straight up has a 40 supply lead and an upgrade lead in like 20 seconds. I'm not sure. I think Patience... Well, okay, Patience has Disruptors, and that's going to always do something. I don't know, man.
It's crazy to me because we're actually at this point where like one good disruptor shot could make or break this game. Like, look at this snipe coming in out of Patience. If Hurricane was sitting there idle for even a second, he would have lost 3 disruptors.
Yep. Oh, still got to be careful with each other's armies here. Some more disruptors pop out for both of them, but Hurricane on double disruptor production could stand to lose a few and still be okay. And I just, at a certain point, if you have like 8 disruptors, it's guaranteed to get 1 okay hit. If it doesn't, then I think it's totally on you. Hurricane not paying attention for a second could have been much worse. Once again. I'm surprised he is... I figure he would have been more aggressive. But instead he is just letting his army stand by while he macros. Investing into an Oracle again wouldn't be a bad idea. He still has that Stargate.
Maybe. This game, though, I don't know what to make of this right now. Because everything for the last little while has looked a little bit better for Patience. Then Hurricane started bringing this back, and now he's got a very clear army lead with upgrades. He's the one expanding to a 4th. But it's still just like, it's going to be the Han Greedo effect. Who shoots first? Who gets the disruptors? That's going to be who wins.
Probably.
And, well, it's Hurricane. That was really anticlimactic, but that was like a 1-for-4 trade.
That was pretty bad from Patience right there. I was going to try and say that maybe Hurricane would still even win beyond that because he just has more units in general. Unless he actually just lost his entire army to disruptors, but that...
All right, Hurricane will end up taking the series 3-1. Congratulations. And he'll go on to the grand finals. Mr. Montalvo just threw 100 bits in to slap away at Lithium a little bit. But, sir, you better bring burritos if you're going to be ready to fight like this. This is the other semifinals now, so we're going to be getting into Ryung versus Gumiho. It's going to be a TVT, which guarantees, of course, TVP finals. So sit tight, folks. A commercial break comes your way, and when we get back, a brand new best of 5. Thank you for watching.